Let's make some sesame crisps. Welcome back to the Whole Food Plant-Based Cooking Show, where we make plant-based cooking easy. Let's make some sesame crisps. So this recipe is based on one of my favorite little treats that you usually find in Asian grocery stores, and they're these little sesame, they're like candies, I guess, but I'm pretty sure they're made with either high fructose corn syrup or like rice syrup or something like that, and sesame seeds. So I'm going to show you how to make that without using refined sugars. So today we are going to use sesame seeds, and yes, this is a very large bag of sesame seeds. Usually you can get them in the grocery store in this size, but I would highly recommend that you just order them online because you can get this huge bag. This was, I think, $14 versus I think this was about $4 or $5. So, I mean, come on, it's a good deal. And once you make these, you're gonna wanna make many, many more. So you're gonna need a whole bag. We're also gonna use some PB powder. So this is just like, it's ground peanuts that have been pressed, so all of that oil comes out. So it's just the protein of the peanuts. Alternatively, you can also use just some regular peanut butter, but you need to read that label really carefully. It needs to be just peanuts, and there might be a little bit of salt in there. No added oil, no added sugar. So we're gonna jump right in. The sweetness is gonna come from bananas. So we're using 2 pretty large bananas. I'm just gonna break them up a little bit. And they need to be pretty ripe, because that's, you know, you want it to be sweet. If you don't use ripe enough bananas, it's more starchy than sweet. So we're gonna start just by smushing your bananas. And this is just a potato masher. And you wanna mash them pretty good. You don't really want chunks in it. So you just keep pressing. I'm gonna put this on my towels, too noisy. All right. Okay, and if you don't have a potato masher, you could just use a fork. That works just as well. Okay, I'm still gonna mash more, but that's just enough for now. I'm gonna put a tablespoon of the PB powder, but if you don't wanna use the PB powder, if you don't have it, you can just use, peanut butter. And then it's a ½ a cup of sesame seeds. And these are just raw unhulled. They aren't the roasted kind. We don't want roasted because these are going in the dehydrator. And then we're just stirring it up and kind of mashing at the same time. We really need to get those chunks of banana smushed down because we're gonna put them on this tray. And if you still have a bunch of lumps in there, it's kind of hard to spread. I'm just gonna keep mashing. So if you know me, if you've seen the show, you know I love crunchy things, and I'm still working on getting over my addiction to chips because they're all, you know, they're all cooked in oil, and I don't really need to be eating that oil that's been heated to high temperatures. It's really not good for you. So I've been trying to find things to replace that crispy flavor. A little bit of saltiness. You could add a little bit of salt here if you wanted to, because you know this doesn't have salt in it, but usually peanut butters have a little bit of salt so that you can get that saltiness too. So you got the sweet and the salty. All right, let's move these things out of the way. I've got my dehydrator tray here. I'm just gonna glob a banana. And I've got the little, I don't know what these are called. They're just nonstick papers. And then I've left the screen underneath it too, because when we flip it, you're already gonna have it there when you need it. So I'm just gonna scoop that out. Okay, and you can also do this in the oven. If you don't have a dehydrator, you can just use a piece of parchment paper on a baking tray. And you can spread it out like that too. Now for the spreading out part, it's kind of up to you whether you want them to be really thin and crispy, like a little wafer, or if you want them to be like those candies, and they're kind of thick. You can do it either way. You just have to adjust your time or how long it's going to be in the dehydrator. So I'm spreading it out pretty thin. You don't want to go too thin because then they'll just, when you try to flip it and cut them, they'll just break into a million little pieces. So I don't know what to say, like 2 millimeters, 3 millimeters thick. And I always try to get it kind of in a square, because halfway through, or a little less than halfway through, we're going to flip it and score it so that it breaks into little squares. Okay, there we go. That's it. Trying to make sure I don't have any little holes in there. That is it. Super simple. So let's take it to the dehydrator. I'm going to put it on 135, and we're going to put it in for about 5 hours to start with, and then we'll flip. While we're waiting for that, I'd like to share some background on our show. The Whole Food Plant-Based Cooking Show is crowd-funded, which means these free weekly recipe videos, along with our entire catalog of free printable recipes on our website, plantbasedcookingshow.com, and our Plant-Based Cooking Made Easy cookbook series, are all made possible in part by the generous patronage of our supporting membership community. Our supporting members gain access to great member perks like our monthly product giveaways, ebooks, and in-depth courses, including our 28 Days Plant-Based Made Easy course, where we offer a step-by-step guide to making the switch to a fully plant-based diet. So if you love our recipes, I invite you to join us on our mission to make plant-based cooking easy, and follow the link in the description to become a supporting member today. There's no denying the plant-based diet is a nutrient powerhouse, but did you know there are a handful of hard-to-get nutrients even well-crafted diets are often lacking? The latest research suggests that complementing your diet with a few specific vitamins, minerals, and omega-3s will help boost your energy and keep you thriving for the long term. That's why my daily health routine includes Complement Essential. Complement Essential contains the 8 critical nutrients lacking from most plant-based diets in dosages optimized specifically for us. Plus, Complement is completely transparent about ingredient sourcing and third-party testing, publishing the results directly on their website. As a special discount for our viewers, just use code PLANTBASEDEASY at checkout to save 15% off of your order. Alright guys, they are done. I can't wait to dig into these. So I left them in for the 5 hours, then I took them out, flipped them over, scored them to make the size and shape that I wanted, and then I just put them back in the dehydrator and left them overnight. You know, so 8 to 12 hours, 8's probably fine. It's just your level of, you know, how crispy do you want them? Do you want them crispy or chewy? I like them crispy. And I did smush together some of the stuff to show you, you can also make them like those little candies. So I had to make it quite a bit thicker, but these aren't going to snap like that. They're going to be super intensely chewy. Still delicious, but I prefer them just like this with this nice snap. Intense crunch. I love it. So satisfying. Super addictive. I love them. And if you really want to go crazy, if you're not afraid of, you know, having a little bit of chocolate, melt some chocolate, drizzle a little chocolate over there. Oh, so delicious. All right, guys, that's it for today. Come on back next week for another great recipe.